Welcome to CNTV. I'm Brad Clonch.
And I'm Quin Tran.
A Chickasaw citizen, Lakota Tolloak, is headed to one of the top colleges in the world.
Lakota tells us how his hard work and involvement at Ada High School paved the way to Harvard.
All my stuff kind of just fell in line for me to go to Harvard. Throughout my high school career, I took every AP class, every honors class that was offered to me. I got involved in as many clubs as I could feasibly do. I took on leadership positions, community service, anything that would set me apart from the crowd.
You mentioned leadership. You are student council president.
Yes, ma'am.
Why is that leadership important to you? Do you think it also helped with your application into Harvard?
Very much so. When I started high school, I was a very shy child. I didn't really put myself out there. I would just kind of sit and do my work, stay relatively below the radar. And through student council, I was really pushed out of my comfort zone and almost forced in a way to try new things, put myself out there. And honestly, that is one of the main things on the Harvard application is, yes, they want to see that you had good grades, you challenged yourself academically. They also wanted to see a well-rounded student who involved themselves and were able to have fun in high school while also maintaining those grades.
I'm told that you are also a Gates Scholarship recipient, which is a highly selective scholarship for outstanding minority high school seniors. The scholarship practically pays for all of your college expenses.
Yes. Getting into Harvard, it was a surprise, but in a way, I still expected it. But on top of that, getting this Gates Scholarship has really taught me the true meaning of surrealism or a surreal moment. You don't really understand what life is like to be surreal until you receive something and you never expected it. You don't know how you got here. And it's just a surreal moment. And I've never truly understood that until now. This scholarship has essentially guaranteed my spot in school. I know for sure that I can go now. And instead of having to work through college, I can spend my time learning, focusing on myself and my education and not have to worry about paying for the education.
What is it you want to study to pursue at Harvard?
So Harvard does not have majors and minors per se. They have concentrations. And I'm planning on concentrating in integrative biology, which is a general biology degree. I hope that once I receive my bachelor's, I will hopefully be accepted into med school at Harvard. And then I ultimately want to be a trauma surgeon.
Being a trauma surgeon, you'll eventually end up in the ER. That's where you want to have your career.
Yes. What you will see day to day is never guaranteed. It's always a surprise. It's always something new, something you've never seen before. It never gets monotonous and you're always on your toes learning new things, never really becoming stagnant. And that is what really draws me to the field because I get bored very easily. So I want something in a career in my life to where I'll always be having fun, always learning, always growing. I've always wanted to be a doctor. I grew up in a hospital and my sister's a nurse and my mom and grandma work for the reception, logistics parts of hospitals. So I always grew up in them and I saw what doctors do, how they help patients, and I always wanted to do that for myself. One person I really look up to is my brother, Brandon Postoke. He graduated high school, had a couple rocky years, but he completely turned his life around and is graduating med school. He's the Chickasaw ambassador for the med program, and he's doing great things with his life. And I really look up to him and want to be as successful as him in my life. I believe he's also doing emergency medicine, but I said I wanted to do emergency medicine before he was decided on emergency medicine.
What is your advice to young Chickasaws and other students about college, and how would you encourage them about their education?
It's never too early to start preparing. Take those harder classes. It may be tough now, but it'll pay off in the end. Throw yourself into new situations that you're not comfortable with. You may be scared and uncomfortable now, but eventually you'll grow to love it. You'll grow as a person and get to a point where you never thought you would be able to before.
Lakota is excited to be a first-year student at Harvard. The college had the lowest acceptance rate this year in its history.
The acceptance rate was about 3%, with only 1,214 students offered admission to the class of 2026. In health news, pediatricians say now is a good time to review your child's immunization records as the new school year begins. Doctors say there are vaccines at different ages and stages of a young person's life.
There's definitely two kind of phases in life when children are getting a lot of vaccinations. Obviously, our neonatal population, that first year and a half of life is very crucial with regard to protecting our children from diseases that, if vaccinated, don't present life-threatening consequences, like whooping cough, for example, pneumococcal pneumonia, things that have largely decreased in threat for our kiddos thanks to vaccinations. And so that time period is definitely a heavy hitter with regard to vaccines. And then again, we see kind of our preteen population presented with some new threats. HPV and the prevention of cancers later in life. What a great opportunity to intervene in some extremely common cancers and prevent your child from ever having to deal with them. And in that age group, we also see things like meningitis that we start to take proactive steps against. So when our kids go to camp, when our kids go to college, they're protected from the devastating impact of meningitis. So those are things that two kind of subsets at the beginning of life and the beginning of those young adult teenage years where we have opportunity to protect our kiddos.
Have you seen this large vehicle traveling through Chickasaw country? It's the Inchokma Mobile Unit. Inchokma means feel well, be well in Chickasaw. The Chickasaw Nation launched the mobile unit to make healthcare services more accessible to children, elders, and families in rural communities. The healthcare team offers primary care, prevention and wellness services that include sports physicals, labs, and immunizations.
We take the mobile unit typically to places that don't have a clinic very close or to areas that it's really difficult for that person to get to a clinic. We're going to take that service and be available so that they can just come get it. And so those are some of the things, our outreach opportunities that we've created so far. I think in decades past, the medical or the clinical model was to, have this central location and people come to the central location to get the services that they want. And now it's the patient or the person is in the center, and it's bringing services to them so that they don't have to wonder where to get it or how to get it or how to get to it, that we can go out there to the community where they are and take it to them. And if we don't have it, then we can connect them with how to get it.
The Inchokma Mobile Unit is part of the Chickasaw Nation's Division of Research and Public Health. The Chickasaw Princess Pageant is one of the most anticipated events during the tribe's annual meeting and festival week. The deadline is coming up for contestant applications. The deadline is August 24th. Go to the web address on your screen for full details. Faithlyn Seawright is the 2021-2022 Chickasaw Princess. She shares with us the excitement of pageant night and her thoughts 1 year later.
I think my favorite part is honestly the introductions, to see how contestants carry themselves when they're walking in and that first glimpse of their dresses and how you can see how they carry themselves. And, of course, sometimes we're all a little nervous when we do our introductions. I know I have been. And to see how you work through that. And I think that's really what a good contestant will take is, when you're nervous, how can you work with that? And sometimes it's just saying, well, I'll just smile and go through it, remember what I can and say what I can of my introduction, and just be happy to be there, because there's a reason why you ran. There's a reason why you're on that stage, and you need to smile and you need to show it. It is a great experience. You learn so much about yourself, and you can create a bond of friendship with contestants. I think this past year has just been such a blessing, and I'm so thankful I got to do it. And I'm even more thankful to have been chosen as Chickasaw Princess. And I want to thank the community for all their encouragement. As I close out this chapter of my life, it's one of those moments where I'm sad that we'll be ending it. And, I'm more excited to see who's going to come in and be our new princesses.
The Chickasaw Nation Princess Pageant is set for Monday, September 26th. We'll feature highlights on CNTV's annual meeting and festival episode. A Chickasaw citizen is pursuing what he loves, a dream job that incorporates art and storytelling.
Jesse Cowan produces animated stories that bring characters to life. He connects with us from Fairfax County, Virginia, to share his creative form of storytelling.
Like so many kids, I grew up watching Saturday morning cartoons, and it influenced me, and it was just like so fun. And then when I realized I could do that for a living, why not do that? Why not go towards that? My mom is, really big into drawing. I am Chickasaw on my dad's side through his mom. And it's funny because he's not an artist, but she is. When I was looking for an opportunity to tell stories of my own, this seemed like an excellent opportunity to learn on my end, to explore, some of my heritage, knowing yourself, knowing where you came from all aspects.
Little Wolf, The Night Trail is the title of one of your latest animation projects. It's an animated short story. Mm-hmm. Tell us about the main character.
The title character, Little Wolf, he's a young boy. He's been separated from his tribe. He's alone. He's afraid. He has to find his place in a world that neither doesn't want him or wants him dead. Luckily, he has a friend. He has a mentor, his big wolf totem, Silverthorn, and he's trying to help guide and protect him on his path. Again, dealing with fear, dealing with bravery, going out on adventures, fighting monsters. It's that theme of trying to grow up, trying to do right, wanting to prove yourself, making mistakes along the way, hopefully learning from them, and being able to rise to the occasion.
You describe animation as theater of the mind. What do you mean by that?
Theater of the mind, it's mostly just getting what's in your head out onto paper or into the world. If you can, if you have imaginary worlds, or if you have ideas that you want to explore, finding a way that does so, that is fun, that's engaging, that can match up to a metaphor or a message, hopefully. You could do pretty pictures. Pretty pictures is fun. It's just like, oh, that's a pretty accurate representation of something like that. But if you do something that has a connection, that has a meaning to either you or to more specifically the people that you want to talk to.
Every artist has a signature, something that makes a mark on their work. What is yours?
I don't know that I have one yet. I don't know that I have a signature yet, because to me, again, maybe this is sort of a difference of vision, sort of a difference of opinion as to how to go about the artwork itself. For me, whenever I'm sitting down and I'm focused on telling a story, my mind goes to, how can I make this resonate with my core audience as much as possible? You need to be able to sort of create that universal language of action or pantomime or dialogue to be able to help the audience appreciate the troubles that your characters are going through, and hopefully to be able to empathize with those characters and to be able to relate to them.
His animated story, Little Wolf, The Night Trail, has earned honors at some film festivals, including Best Animated Short Story.
He has posted the story to streaming apps like YouTube and Film Freeway. Jesse Cowan also produces a comic featuring the Little Wolf story. You can find that at Little Wolf Comics via social media and online.
He's a very talented artist and storyteller. Well, here's a question for you. Do you know that August 18th is National Couples Day?
We thought Valentine's Day was it. During the month of August, take time to improve your relationship and do something positive as a couple.
We asked two Chickasaw Nation psychologists, Doctors BJ and Misty Boyd, who are married, what do couples need to know and do to strengthen their bond?
Relationships take care and nurturing and tending, just like anything else that we want to grow and want to have good things come out of. And so that daily care, daily tending really is what adds up over time to create the quality of a relationship that we have with someone.
A big thing to be mindful of in dating is social pressure. It may come from peers, it may come from family, it may come from watching too many sappy romantic TV shows or movies or whatever. But I think one of the advice we've always tried to give people who are kind of in that phase of life where they're dating is it's okay to be single. Don't get into a permanent committed relationship just because you feel like you need to be in one. Get into a relation with someone who you get along with, who you're compatible with, who you share those same, compatible values or interests or life goals. And don't just have a boyfriend or girlfriend because somebody has told you it's time for you to have a boyfriend or girlfriend.
Yeah, I think that, when we think about dating from a late adolescent or early adulthood perspective, a lot of times we're thinking of, are we looking for a partner? Are we finding a partner? When really this is the grounds where we rehearse those relationship skills, like communication skills, like finding common interests or shared values, like navigating through difficult times as you grow and change, and your partner might be growing and changing. That period of development is really important for us to figure out ourselves and the skills that we can use to make a relationship work.
I will say, laughing together. Not all the positive interactions are about joy and laughter, but I think it is important to make each other smile and to hear laughter. And there's something about when you make someone else happy, when you make someone else smile, even if it's just for a minute, that's a really profound way that they feel you can feel connected.
Before I married BJ, I don't know that I realized I like to laugh as much as I do, but he makes me laugh every day. And I think that that's an important thing that we have going for us. Even when days are hard, even when we're exhausted, even when one of us is in a bad mood, there's usually at least once or twice a day that we get to laugh together. And that's enough to get you to the next moment.
The psychologists have so much more to share. Look for more from them on topics in future episodes, topics that include balancing family dynamics, raising children, and more.
Well, that's all the time we have for this episode of CNTV. Quinn and I will see you next time.